Yeah, so a year in, I asked for a reduction in my bond, which was $750,000, and the judge doubled it to 1.5 million. So it got moved over to max security. About 2 in the morning, I get to the cell. It's a two-man cell. My cellmate's asleep on the top bunk, and he's like shrouded in a white sheet. This is a really hot Sonoran desert. Hardly any air coming in. Swamp cooler barely works.
Oh, swamp cooler. That's where you're relying on the from the outside, right? Where there is no AC. You're just relying on kind of the environment for the.
It's air blown over cool water, supposedly.
in
So
Arizona.
it's like someone's breath is coming out of the vent. And it's like 120 plus degrees. So we've got all these skin infections and bed sores that are bleeding and itching, and especially on our behinds because we sat around a lot. Looked like I spilled battery acid on my leg at one point. So I'm looking around this room, and then something drops off the ceiling and bounces off my shoulder. Like, what's that? It's like dark because it's 2 in the morning, but there's like a swirl effect on the walls, and I put my eyes right up to the wall, covered in cockroaches. So 8 at night was lockdown, 10 was lights out. They line up in the cracks in the wall at night, doing this movement like an army waiting to invade.
Yeah.
As soon as the lights went out, they just flood the room. So you got a choice. You put the sheet around you, leave a breathing hole like the mummy. It does keep them off you, but it traps the heat to your body. Like I mentioned, you got these skin infections and bed sores, so the trapped heat is so unbearably itchy you can't possibly sleep. So you end up just throwing it off, letting them crawl on you. Now they don't bite; they tickle your feet, your legs. To this day, if anyone tickles my hands, I flinch because I woke up so many nights from tickling my hands. They get on your face, mouth, nose. But the favorite place of all is going in your ears to eat your earwax. It's like honey to them.
Yeah.
So I broke off a bit of towel into a flannel that I used to wash my face and clean my ears out. And I remember one time I just like de-waxed my ears and I hung the flannel under the sink. And the cockroaches were just like pulsing on the earwax. They just loved that stuff. I had a neighbor who was asthmatic, wakes up one morning out of breath, grabs his inhaler, takes a blast, shoots a live cockroach inside himself, starts freaking out, saying he can feel it moving around inside him, throws up, and somehow it's stuck inside him and it won't even come out. Even in the daytime, the prisoners were doing cockroach races, gambling on the winner. And in the mornings, you see all the fellas come up their cells with plastic containers. They put peanut butter in to trap them during the night, and they'd empty all the dead ones into the trash under the stairs. It didn't matter how many we killed; they owned the building. But I was with the cockroach. I was in that max security facility for upstairs in the Madison Street jail for 14 months. So I had to get used to living with them, and you do just learn to live in harmony with them. Otherwise, you go crazy.
And so there's a these and because my brother dealt with he lived in New York for a while, right? And so he dealt with that exact same situation. He when he laid down one night, he woke up and there was a small one like stuck in his ear, and he had to go to the hospital to get it removed and whatnot. And this stuff is insane. And can you talk about what happens when you kill one of these things? Because I know a lot of people, and then also with the because I'm there's like so many bugs in what's going on, and with the spiders and whatnot. Can you go a little bit into more of the bugs in this situation, because this plays
Yeah,
a huge part in people's mental state while they're already dealing with stressful situations. So
I got very familiar with the habits. So if you like threaten them or smash one with your deck shoe, they release a chemical smell. And then these warrior ones come running under the door, like, what's up? Like, backup style. If you do smash one, they pretend to be dead. So they're like flattened, and I'll be reading a book, looking over, it's still there, looking over, it's still there, looking over, it's gone.
yeah.
And then you throw them in the like you're in the toilet, and you think you're drowning them, and they do this thing where they look all shrunk, but they're so crafty. They're just holding oxygen to themselves so they can continue to breathe while they're underwater. And then the babies, oh my goodness, if the babies hatch in your cell, that's the worst thing. So the pregnant ones carry around it looks like a piece of a worm, but that sack has got the babies in it, and they get under your bunk and try and attach it under your bunk. I found them attached to books sometimes and got rid of them. But if that sack bursts open, they're just all over the wall and all over the bunk and all over you when you're trying to sleep, and they're just going round and round in circles, all these little babies. Your food, you've got to keep your food wrapped tight because they eat their way through bags and boxes to get any remnants of commissary you've got left. So I learned over the time in that Max facility to carry lots of Amira-Fresh toothpaste around with me. This was a toothpaste that Sheriff Joe Arpaio managed to get his hands on that years later was ruled illegal because it had antifreeze in it. It was from China, some toxic chemicals. So I used to cement the walls with it. I remember one time I cemented all the walls and I was so proud of myself. The cockroaches couldn't get in and the whole cell smelt like mint. And then the guards were like, Atwood, over the intercom, roll up, Atwood, roll up. And they moved me to another cell where there was massive amounts of roaches and I had no toothpaste left.
That's it, man. This stuff is, and then everybody, and I heard on another interview you did, people are racing these things, and what's the situation with the spiders? What's the situation?
The spider came out when we were asleep. You never even see it. You just wake up the next day with pinpricks on your skin. And you think, all right, maybe no big deal. But I knew in time when I saw them what was going to happen next. The pus starts to come out and the skin sloughs away and the venom eats into the flesh down to the bone on some occasions and causes what's called a volcano lesion. There were guys who'd been in the jail, had been in shootouts, and these spiders were putting bigger holes in people's bodies than bullets. So we'd take these guys to the guards. It's the policy of the jail not to treat insect bites. You're not going to get this as a medical. Sorry. Nothing we could do. You guys put yourself in here. You guys deal with it. So we tried to deal with it. On one occasion, the guy being bitten was a big guy. He was like 350-pound Chicano gang member. He was almost up for the death penalty. He'd done a drive-by shooting. Some of his victims were critically ill, and every night we watched the news to see if one of them died, because if one of them died, he was going to be up for the death penalty. He was shitting himself. But one of the victims he'd shot, it had gone through her back, and it had come out the other side of her body and took her nipple off, the bullet. So this guy had been bitten, and it looked like a baseball of yellow plasma was trying to come out of his back. So in the day room, big guys arm locked him on either side to hold him steady. The doctor was a Russian prisoner, was designated as a doctor because he'd been in the military and knew how to dress wounds. I'm holding onto the toilet paper, assisting the doctor. So the Russian guy's massaging this wound. All this pus is running down his back. I'm helping mop it up with the toilet paper. The big guy's almost fainting. Sweat's dripping off his chin and his ears, and he starts dragging everybody across the day room. We need more guys to hold him. People were jumping on. When all of the pus was finally out, which took about 10, 15 minutes, this guy had almost fainted several times. When all of the pus was finally out, what the Russian guy did, he said the best thing he could do for him was put salt on the wound to reduce the bacteria. Yeah. When I was in max security, a guy had been bitten on his thumb, and he kept showing it to the guard. Policy of the jail not to treat insect bites. You're not going to medical. So next day, it's like changing color, going a bit red and purple. Guards say the same thing. Then it's going darker, more like a blue and a black. The guards say the same thing. Then fungus started to grow on it. Fungus. They took him to medical and they cut his thumb off. And we awarded him Sufferer of the Week because we had a little competition. Whoever had suffered the most that week, we all put in together like a Snickers bar or some peanut butter or something. And he said it was worth losing his thumb just to get the extra food because you could barely eat in there.